Hey guys, this is Phil the FEHologist. I just want to let you know that listener support is 100% active now. I had put the links to it in previous episodes, but I had to go in and straighten a few things out, and so now that that's taken care of, if you'd like to support the show, you can go ahead and click on the link in the show notes, and that'll direct you to Anchor, and you'd be able to support the show that way. So go ahead and do that if you'd like, and enjoy the show. Hello everyone, and welcome to FEHology, the study of Fire Emblem heroes. My name is Phil, and I'll be your FEHologist today, and joining me is our Chief Resident Grepstein. How are you doing today, Greps?
I am doing real well, Phil. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well as well. It's great to be here with you and to dive into the roadmap today as what we're going to talk about and kind of tease out the banners that we have upcoming, the events and things like that. Throw out some speculation as well if need be, and just get hyped for the end of August and beginning of September. So excited to have that discussion with you.
Yeah, and I am as well. Did you happen to notice the trivia questions, the FEH summer trivia question that started today?
I did. I think that's a pretty cool idea. I think of course it's nice to get some extra orbs and feathers and things like that, but I think it's great to kind of bring the community together, all of us kind of, combining into one answer to see if we get it right. And I thought today's question was pretty interesting. Like, I think I viewed that YouTube clip like 5 times trying to count the ice pillars going into that ball of flame, and I don't know. I think I got the count wrong. I didn't count. I think there was more than 17, but less than 27. Is that what you got?
Yeah, I was doing the same thing. I was pausing it and really counting it as well as I could. And I also got something like 24 or something like that. But I was like, oh, there might be some coming in from the side also. And so just as a sneak preview for question number 2 for FEH's Summer Trivia Challenge, you have to go back into our episode from yesterday, the banner review episode for the dancers. And how many times did Greps say the word I on the podcast? You have to count how many times he did that and make sure to listen very slowly and very carefully. Of course, I'm joking, but that's the intensity of that first question really threw me for a loop, and it was so much harder than the questions that we got a couple months ago, the tweet questions that weren't even translated into English.
Right. Yeah, those were a ton easier than the ones that we're getting now. I was just going to say that if you do count up the number of eyes, you get a pat on the back and maybe an upvote if you do post it to our subreddit. And so I'm sorry we can't give you any orbs for that, but congrats if you do that.
Yeah, maybe spend your time doing something else instead. Maybe just listen to what we're saying in the episode instead, rather than count number of eyes.
Yeah, exactly. But anyway, so before we get into the actual roadmap, I was wondering if you would like to discuss some of the recent changes that we've seen in the game and our first impressions of them, specifically with the arena, the new Tempest trials that just started, as well as looking back to the Grand Conquests changes that we saw most recently. So do you have any thoughts on those modes?
Yeah, how about we each go in order? We'll start with the arena changes, and then we'll talk about Tempest trials, and then about Grand Conquests. And so I'll answer my thoughts about the arena, and then you can go about it, and we'll just kind of go back and forth like that, if that sounds good.
Sure, let's do it.
So for the arena changes, have you had a chance to play the new arena since the reset on Tuesday?
I have, and it's, for me at least, it's been really hard to get in the mindset of having to get some KOs with my bonus unit, because I'm just using Alphons right now. And so it's been kind of a challenge for me, and I know that my score range has dropped a little bit because I'm using Alphons, and so it's a bit of a challenge. It's definitely different for me. What about you?
So I found it to be a lot of fun, and I did a lot of planning in advance for this change, and I saved up some resources. So I like if I needed to fodder off, like promote some units and fodder off different weapons or something like that, that I would be prepared for it. So I was pretty excited when the change came around, and so I was using Legendary Lucina and Legendary Lyn with Male Grima and Harden as my like armor core to score highly in the arena. And so I spent some time like going through the arena calculator and figuring out what bonus unit could give me the highest possible score, and tried to think about the skills that could help Lucina get as many kills as possible. So I kept finding the same team in the arena again and again. I was like seeking them out, and they were a max scoring team. And I kept being able to kill all of their units with Legendary Lucina with like just some planning and going through and softening up their enemies as best as I could. And so I was actually able to achieve the max score in the arena for the first week, at least what I think is the max score right now. So that was pretty cool.
That's awesome.
So I recommend ally support and summoner support as well. Those are the other two things so important to being able to maximize your KO potential for your bonus unit. So just a couple of tips for you and for listeners out there.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that. I feel like it is worth, like Wary Fighter, I think one really good tip, especially for those newer players, is to invest into armor units, because the way that Arena is scored now is based on BST and SP points, of course, how much you spend for your skills, and of course, armor units usually have the highest BST in the game, and so if you do invest into them, especially units like Draug or Sheena and Gwendolyn, who are readily available at 3 to 4 stars, then it's a lot easier to merge them up to higher levels and to be able to go toe-to-toe with some of the other units that are a little bit more exclusive. And actually, speaking on that, I do want to mention to everyone, Greps is famous now because he is the Sensei Slayer. Greps, do you want to tell us about that experience you had with Acarus?
Sure. So it was kind of a funny experience, but so I just went in and I was checking my arena defense wins and who popped up in my arena defense wins, but the famous YouTuber and Twitch streamer for Fire Emblem Heroes, Acarus. And I know he has like a main account and a free-to-play account, and I think most listeners should probably be familiar with his work, and I'm a fan and enjoy tuning into his Twitch streams or watching his YouTube clips later on. And I happened to notice that Acarus was one of my defense wins, and I was wondering if he happened to be on his stream live at the time that he was playing my team. So I went into, after the fact, I went into the Twitch stream and was searching to see if I could find when he was playing my team. And sure enough, it came up. It was the first team that he faced in his Arena Assault run. And it was on his main team. And it's really fun to watch your own team play. It's something that we don't get the benefit of doing in the game unless you have a really unique experience like this and you get to see someone streaming and playing your team somehow. So it was really fun to watch what my team did, and I was like cheering for them. And he was really surprised because he thought he kind of had things under control, and one of my armor units did a rally assist skill on another one that he wasn't expecting, and I was able to take out one of his units unexpectedly. So his reaction to that was priceless. It was really fun to watch his reaction of first of surprise, and then he just had his hands over his head, and he was just probably a little embarrassed and ashamed and just kind of disappointed, and just right. that mixture that we all feel when we lose in the arena, and we just kind of feel stupid for maybe not calculating things right. And by the way, that is why I don't like enemy phase units, because that sort of thing happens to me all the time, where I think I've planned out something and then something like that surprises you. And I had Gale Force on a unit too, so it was a Gale Force surprise, and it was funny to watch, but I can imagine it wasn't too fun for him to sit through.
Right. Yeah, you sent me some screenshots of his reaction when your units were taking them out, and definitely priceless. We're going to have to post that somewhere or something just to let everyone know that we have something really cool to say about ourselves here on FEHology, that the chief resident Grepstein is the killer of senseis. So so congrats to you, Greps, on your defense.
Yeah, and I do just want to say again that I do really respect Acarus and all of his stuff. So, it's fun when you can beat somebody famous like that. But even more so than that, I want to say that watching my own team play was so much fun, and it's something that we should really have as a feature in the game, to be able to replay your defense wins, at least, if not your defense losses, but at least your defense win. It would be so much fun to see that.
For sure. Like, I know games like Clash of Clans or Clash Royale, you can watch replays of your matches, or at least the matches of other people. And I think that'd be a really nice feature for sure, just to not only have some fun, watch some matches, see how your team did well, but also if your team didn't do well for a certain week, how you could improve. And I think that kind of goes with my some thoughts that I mentioned with YX a couple weeks ago as well. If they made defense a little bit more lucrative as far as the amount of rewards that you got for getting either a good a defense win or a number of different defense wins as well. I think if they put some more incentive into that, I think that would make the game a little bit more fun as far as strategy is concerned. But that's just my opinion, and I'll just have to write that into intelligent systems and see if they do anything about it. But but yeah.
But before we move on from this, we've gotten a little off talking about some of the changes in the game. I wanted to hear I have a couple questions for you about your arena experience in the last couple days.
Yeah.
Do you have Alphons refined, or are you just using like the base Alphons right now?
Ooh, so I am using the base Alphons, but great question, because I have finished the script for my Asker Trio weapon refinery analysis, and the results were actually pretty surprising, and they have swayed me to not touch Alphonse yet. I haven't refined his weapon right now. So yeah, he's just a base kit right now. And
okay.
I could definitely put some better skills on him, which I probably will do anyway. But as far as his weapon's concerned, I might go with another. So I'll save that for my episode.
Yeah, I look forward to that.
But yeah, of course it's my opinion, and just based on what I saw in the simulator and just kind of the feedback that I got from that. I mean, if other people have built them in certain ways and have refined it, I mean, it's not a bad refine, first of all, and so I'm totally open to any comments on that. But I'll throw out my opinion in that episode, and that should come out in a couple days or so.
Okay, and we'll have to see at the end of the week here. We'll have to see how we do in the arena, and if you're able to continue in the same trajectory that you've been in like tier 19.5, or if things end up changing for you there with all of the changes in the game.
Exactly. So time will tell, and maybe those few extra points of refinement added to Alphonse's base total is worth it, rather than using another weapon. So we'll see.
Yeah, we'll have to see about that. And then, so what about the changes for the Tempest trials? There's a couple changes that I think might be worth just touching on now. The first, we've already done these changes in the arena or the version update, but how have you been enjoying getting free copies of different units instead of seals? And two, what have you thought about having the boss maps from previous Tempest trials, as well as the music from those maps? What have you thought about that?
Yeah, so I didn't really get into the data mine, and I'm sure that they had these maps available for a couple days before we got into it. But like I said, I didn't check it, and so when I started the Tempest trials, I thought, wait, I've seen these maps before, and I thought, this is really cool to be able to play on the old boss maps that we've had in the past years. So I thought that was really cool. And as far as the rewards are concerned, I think it's great that we're getting these units back. I mean, even some of them. We talked a little bit more about that in the last episode where we talked about version 2.8. But it's been nice, and I can see how people could be excited about it, to be able to merge up or use them for fodder in however way they may use them, to at least have these characters and have another go at them. I think if the IS does this more often, then I think that would be wonderful, because we could have access to more merges if needed, or more fodder as well. And over time, it might take a year or so, but over time we might be able to have some really good units out there on our team, especially for those who are free to play. And so, like, I'm thinking of like Masked Marth and Black Knight. The more copies we get of them, I feel like it's a little bit easier for us free to play players to be able to at least have a chance to compete in the arena at higher levels. And of course, things can change, and of course, the bonus change makes things different as well. But yeah, I'm a fan of it, and I think it'd be cool if they alternated between that. Maybe not every two Tempest trial, like not one Tempest trial with just units versus, and then the next month with seals or something like that. I think it'd be, I think every once in a while, it would be nice to get just characters again. Maybe every quarter or so, but. So I've enjoyed the changes to Tempest Trials, but what are your thoughts?
The new units, it's fun to get another copy, and I agree with you. If we're not going to get more than just this one, it's kind of a letdown for me anyway, but I know for people who are newer in the game, they might not have these units at all, sack around for them especially. As far as the maps and the music, I've really been enjoying playing those maps. It's been kind of nostalgic. Like the game's only been out for a year and a half, but it's been fun to be like, oh, I remember when I was playing those maps, and like that was a fun time. And I remember the units I was using for my bonus units, and especially the Veronica's final map. That Tempest Trials, for those of you that were playing the very first Tempest Trials, was so tough. And it's just unbelievable how much easier they've made Tempest Trials since then in terms of getting more points and giving your units, like your bonus units, points, and all of that has made it so much easier. But the first Tempest Trials was so hard and yet so much fun too because of how hard it was. And content has gotten easier since then with getting extra merges for units, but also just all the boosts that they've give us as well. So those are my thoughts on the Tempest Trials. And then the last thing I thought we'd talk about is the changes to Grand Conquests. And there were two things that happened there that were a little bit just recently. The first was having the army rank bonuses. And then the second notable change was having two different infernal modes, one of which, the harder of which, the enemy units would warp across the map and they'd be able to attack when they warp. So did you play at all on the infernal maps, or which difficulties did you play on? And how did you find the how did you do as in the army rank? Did you find that to be a fun addition to it?
Yeah, I did actually. I mean, I'm a fan of any free, resources or items in the game, and so being able to get a few feathers here and there was great. I guess for my results, I guess it's the way that I went about it. I usually just auto battle on Lunatic. Sometimes I did a few maps on Infernal, both of them, and I thought that was fun. And I probably should have spent more time on those Infernal maps because I only got to about tier 22 or 23. And of course, I don't play it consistently enough to be able to use the free lances that I get. I just kind of go all in at once and watch my rank go up really fast. And I thought it was interesting too with the army ranking that I think I got 8th or 7th place in the first round, but I climbed all the way to tier 15 or something like that. And so I used a lot of lances there, and then I steadily crept up for the last two battles and got to rank 40 or 50 or something like that. And so it wasn't too bad. I feel like just for, kind of going in and not really planning out your lances and just using them all at once, I still was able to get a decent rank and get some decent rewards from it. And so, yeah, I don't have any complaints about it. And I think it's nice that they bring back the second Infernal map to be able to have it as Grand Conquests used to be, with the warping and attacking enemies. And so that for those who are looking for more of a challenge anyway, that's there if you want it, and for some more points as well. So yeah, no complaints here. What are your thoughts on GC?
So I was really happy that they made that second Infernal mode. The first Infernal map, that was getting really tiring and boring for me. It was getting way too easy. with my merged units and with friends' merged units. It was just getting too easy. And I found Grand Conquest to be moving in the wrong direction until this most recent run through a couple weeks ago. And the harder Inferno mode was a lot of fun. It required, like, again, the strategy that the game mode used to require. And it's challenging, but somebody put together a really nice guide on, I can't remember if it was the R Fire Emblem Heroes subreddit or if it's the R Order of Heroes subreddit, but someone put together a really comprehensive guide on a lot of things that I probably would have gone through to like tell people how to score as highly as possible. In terms of the army bonus, so, you know, like rank 1 through 3 get the highest rewards for each round. And I wasn't sure how that was going to work out, but I ended up getting 3rd place for all 3 different rounds or battles, whatever they call them. And really, it's like 3rd place is actually 1st place, because it's 3rd place still gets the same rewards as 1st, but they don't use as many stamina lances. So it's like the most efficient use is to come in 3rd, in my opinion. So I would always, for each of the battles, I would try to check in once every 8 hours to spend all my lances that were given for free. And then in the last couple hours, as soon as like one of my last few lances expired, I would try to spend as many of my conquest lances as I needed to get into the top 3. So that my strategy was to wait till the end. It's kind of like a silent auction, because if you bid too fast and you got your score up too high too soon, then you're the target for everybody to beat. And so you don't want to be too high up there. Otherwise, everybody might start spending their lances to bid higher than you, so to speak, and try to score above you. So I think my personal strategy was to try to wait till the last couple battles to score as highly as possible to get above other people. So anyway, just a little tip for people out there. That worked out pretty well for me. And the last thing I'll say about this before we can move on to our main content for today is that the 3rd and final round is where people scored much higher than in the first 2 rounds in my Outrealm, at least. And I imagine it was probably similar for other Outrealms. So that just says to me that more people are saving up their lances till the last round than spending them all in the first or second round. So just a couple thoughts there to help people strategize a little bit and get as many feathers as possible.
Cool. So yeah, don't be like me. Don't be the bumbling fool that puts all his lances out in the first battle. But be more like Grepstein and follow a pattern, follow his example, and you should get the most out of Grand Conquest that way. So thank you for sharing those thoughts and those tips. I appreciate them, and I'm sure the listeners do as well. So let's do it. So yeah, we've talked a lot to talk about in Heroes right now. I think things are getting a little bit more exciting than they had been a couple weeks ago. In addition to that hype, we do have our roadmap, and so let's talk about that. And I know here in the script, Greps, you put this together and you kind of separated things into different categories. And so we're going to talk about the banners first of all and just kind of go through them in order and talk about which units might be on these banners and which ones both we think might be most likely to be featured on the banner, as well as which one we would pull on, which characters we would pull for if they were featured on the banner. So so I'll turn it over to you, Greps, and if you wanted to start us off with our first banner that's coming out tomorrow, actually.
So this first banner that is on the roadmap that we haven't gotten yet is Heroes with Draconic Aura, and it's going to be released on August the 16th. So some of you, if you're listening to this after the first day, you'll already know who the heroes on this banner will be. But so what we're going to do for each of these banners is we'll tell you who could possibly be on these banners, and then we'll go through and say who we think actually will. So for this first one, there are 3 possible red heroes, 1 blue, 3 green, and 1 colorless. And a lot of the time, intelligence systems will try to split it up so that there's no heroes sharing a focus color, but that's not always the case. So for this first banner, I will say that the heroes that I think are going to be on this banner are Carla, Ares, and female Kana. So that's 2 red units and 1 green unit. And it might might be like a little bit of a hit against my prediction here because there's 2 red units, and you might think it'd be more likely to have either female Corrin or Brave Lynn. But my thoughts are that Alm is going to be on a different banner. That's my prediction, that Alm will be on a different banner that we're going to talk about later on in this episode. So I don't think they're going to feature him here as well. Dorcas has been on a banner. He's been on a couple banners in the last few months. I don't think we'll see him quite yet. Female Corrin and Camilla have been heroes that have been out for a long time, and I don't think they would be big draws to pull on their color. And I think Brave Lynn is also going to be on a banner not too far down the road. And so Ares, I know some people might think that we wouldn't get a 4-star hero on one of these skill banners, but we got that only a couple months ago with the Distant Counter, the Countering Skills banner, where 3 and 4-star Noe showed up as a blue focus unit instead of 5-star exclusive Harden, which I was not happy about at the time. So I think that Carla will be on there as one of the main draws, and female Kana is a really good unit too. And she hasn't been on a second banner since her release, just like Carla. But I think Ares is going to serve as sort of a pity breaker. Not that he's a bad unit at all, but that he's available in the 4-star pool, and he might serve to pity break people who really want to go for Carla. So those are my thoughts about this first banner. What do you think about this first banner, possibility-wise, and heroes that are worth pulling for?
Yeah, first of all, I'm interested to seeing when you think some of these other units are going to come out, and so I can't wait to hear that. For me, I think the only other unit that we hadn't mentioned yet was Camilla. You probably mentioned her already, but I think those are pretty much all the units that you've mentioned that have Draconic Aura that could be on this banner, and I'm inclined to agree with you. I think if there was any other unit that could be, swapped out and, matched differently, I think Alm could be on this banner as well, and Dorcas as well, and I guess Brave Lynn. I think that they, those characters are the ones that would be most appealing, in my opinion, to be pulling for, especially if you're a newer player and haven't had a chance to get Brave Lynn or Dorcas as well, and Alm is really good as well, and so so I could mix and match the sets of units that we've had here, but I think your reasoning is very logical, and I would go with that, seeing Carla and Ares, and was it female Kana you said as well?
Yeah, and so I think that personally, I'd be really excited if Alm was on this banner too, and I think he and Carla would be probably the 2 strongest possible units on this banner. So if they show up on this banner, I would definitely recommend people try to pull for a copy of them. They have strong skills in Wind Sweep and even Speed Wave for Carla, and they're really strong units too. So you really couldn't go wrong with getting them, and any IV can be good for either of them, or if you get a bad IV and you don't want to use them, then firing them off is not a bad way to go either.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll see what happens tomorrow with that. And let's move on to the next one, which is on the 20th, is the Bound Hero Battle event, but also the banner that usually comes around with it the first time it appears. And this Bound Hero Battle is confirmed to be Micaiah and Soth. Now, funny thing, like the other day, I had a dream. I was like at school or something like that on a bus, going to school. I was like back in high school or something like that, and I was just like sitting next to Micaiah and just talking to her, and it was weird. I know I woke up and I thought, you know what? If I had to choose a unit that I liked and that might be able to serve me well as a +10 merged unit that's 5-star exclusive, because I haven't really shot for something like that yet. I've only built up a +10 unit and am building merged units with those characters that are more easily obtained in the 3 and 4-star. But if I had to choose right now a 5-star character to build up for, it would be Micaiah, just for personal preference. And she is pretty useful in the game, as well as a check against horses, of course, but armor as well. So anyway, just a funny story to throw out.
Yes, you had a dream about her, and then that made you want to +10 her?
Yeah, like I woke up and was like, oh, I'm really excited if once this banner comes out, if I get lucky. I have quite a few orbs saved up, Who knows? Maybe I'll feel lucky that day and we'll drop some orbs to get her up, because I already have a +1 Micaiah right now. So.
Oh, well, I think IS might have incepted you. I think they've put an idea in your head and they're interfering with your dreams to make you try to pull for certain heroes. I had the same thing. I woke up today right at the reset somehow and was like, oh man, it's time to play Fire Emblem.
I've done that before, actually, like with a new banner. I was like, okay, I'll just wake up in the morning. Even though I'm hyped, I'm just going to sleep through. I always wake up at midnight or 1 o'clock or whenever the reset is. And like, well, okay, I might as well summon. And it's so weird. But I'm hoping I'm not delusional or anything. But anyway, that led me to think too. And I want to ask you, Greps, how much orbs does it take on average in your experience to get a 5-star focus character, exclusively 5-star, all the way up to +10?
So it's a tough question to answer, because we're dealing with probabilities. So it's going to vary every single time and for every single person and just however the RNG treats you. But there's a couple factors that can make it take more orbs or less orbs. So one thing to look for is what kind of a banner is it? A legendary banner is often a lot harder than a standard banner because they're sharing a focus color with other units on that banner. And it's the same for like a new hero's banner. If there's 2 units sharing a focus color, I know people downplay how big of a difference that might make on average to pull 1 copy of a hero. But the thing is, it might cost like 5 or 10 more orbs on average for each hero. But that's like for the average case. And there's going to be some cases where it's going to take a lot longer because of how, probability and standard deviations work. For some people, it's going to be a lot worse. Or even if it just takes 10 more orbs per copy with a shared focus color, then 10 times 11 copies of a unit might be over 100 orbs more. Depends on, on the percentage of the banner and focus color sharing and all of that. But I would say if you're really lucky, you might be able to get a unit in like 500 orbs or so. But in more cases, it's going to take closer to like 800 to 1,000, maybe a little bit more than that. And in really bad luck cases, it might take like 1,500 or 2,000 orbs if you're really having some bad luck. So it really varies from time to time. And a lot of the time it might be easier just to pull like off-focus heroes, and then maybe you get a couple copies of a hero, and then maybe you decide to go.
Cool. Well, thanks for that insight. I think that's really helpful for me, and just it's good food for thought for those who have aspirations to do so. But anyway, back to the banner itself. We usually get a 3rd character featured on the Bound Hero Battle banner. And, we threw down a couple names here like Zelgius, Ike, Sanaki as well. I think Zelgius would fit just because of the color distribution. They're usually only one. Well, I can't remember now, but usually with these Bound Hero battles, there's usually just one color per character. And if Zelgius was on it, that would make it a lot more enticing to pull on. And so my vote would be for Zelgius featuring on this banner. Do you agree, disagree?
So I'm going to disagree. So Zelgius and like standard Ike and Sanaki are all red units, so they could all fulfill the different color. And although it's usually the case that it is a different color of a unit, recently we had a Hector bound hero battle with Sarah and Matthew. And so that was interesting that not only were there 2 units of the same color, but they were also units that aren't really desirable, and they're not 5-star exclusive, and they're colorless. So that was kind of an different from most bound hero battles. So it's hard to predict exactly who it would be. Now, Ike, the standard version of Ike is actually from the Path of Radiance as opposed to Radiant Dawn, but I still think there's a possibility that maybe he would still show up. I don't think he's quite as likely, though, because his like main summonable version is from a different game, and they do tend to be pretty strict about bound hero battles being characters and like specific like epithets and everything from the game itself. So I don't think it would be Ike. Zelgius, the only thing that's really a strike against him being on this banner is that it would be exactly the same as the banner that Micaiah, Soth, and Zelgius all came out on. So we've never had a new hero banner completely be rerun before with the same exact units. And so I think that's a likely possibility, but I'm going to just go with Sanaki as my third unit. She does have a connection with Micaiah and Soth in their games. I mean, all the units here do, but that's who I'm going to go with just as my guess as the third unit on here. But it would be a little strange if they reran a banner completely.
Right. It'd be cool, but it would definitely be weird. So good thought there. And you're probably right.
We'll see. I have no idea. I don't have any inside information or anything. So just my own analysis, and maybe I'll be right, and maybe you'll be right, and maybe neither of us will be right.
Right. Yeah. That's usually what happens, but...
So the good thing is that we know two of the heroes for sure on that Bound Hero Battle banner. The Micaiah and Soth will definitely be on there. We'll just see who the third unit is. So let's go to the next banner that we have, and this is the new hero banner on August the 21st. And so, I don't want to spend too much time speculating on who new heroes or special heroes are going to be in advance, because quite frankly, it is something that we've done a lot and other people on Reddit do a lot, and it's very often just ends in people kind of just like wasting their time on speculating things that never even come true. So unlike speculating at least when we have a game or a skill, we can, but when we just get new heroes, it's hard to even say what that might be. And there's so many games to choose from and so many heroes to choose from that it's hard for us to get the right thing. So anyway, I think, one possibility, this is all I'll throw out about speculation, is that maybe it'll be an FE6 banner. We haven't had one of those. And I don't know. I think that maybe we'll see that. And a lot of people, I think, are hoping to see that too. But aside from just complete speculation, just one thing that I wanted to address about this banner, and a lot of people have pointed out that this banner goes for about 3 weeks. And I think that the length of the banner has really caught people's attention. And as with a lot of things over the summer, people start wondering, does that have something to do with Choose Your Legends? Is that why something is slightly different than normal? And I'm going to say that I don't think it has anything to do with Choose Your Legends. So there's one thing that I think is important to consider about why this banner goes a little bit longer, and it has to do with the arena bonus units. So we just began a new set of arena bonus units a few days ago, or I guess yesterday at the time of this recording. And based on when these new heroes will be featured as arena bonus units, they won't be featured until the last few days of August. And then if they go 2 weeks, like pretty much all new units do as bonus heroes in the arena, then they will still be bonus units until August, I believe it's the 10th. And so what that means is I don't think Intelligent Systems would want to have new heroes as bonus heroes while they're not on a banner anymore. They wouldn't want people a few days when they're arena bonus units. So I think that's one reason that this banner goes for a few extra days. Now, it's not the only reason, because the banner still continues to go a few days later. So maybe it has something to do with a Grand Hero Battle that's kind of like in the middle, like early middle of September. Maybe it has something to do with Voting Gauntlet heroes, and these heroes happen to be in the Voting Gauntlet. They want them around for that. I don't think it has to do with Choose Your Legends, though. So anyway, those are some of my thoughts about why this banner in particular looks different than a lot of the rest of them. And if it is CYL heroes, we should find that out really soon.
We should, yeah. It'll be exciting to see if it is a Blazing Blade banner. It has been a while since Binding Blade. It's been a while since we've seen that in the game. The only one that I would throw out, just as a speculation and just as a hope as well, I think it'd be cool to see some more characters from Path of Radiance or Radiant Dawn. Probably not because of the last banner that we just got with Alencia and Micaiah, but, one could dream. But I think that one thing that I do want to point out as well, I think you might have mentioned this before when you're analyzing a character, or it might have been mentioned somewhere else as well, but there seems to be sometimes a pattern where the middle of the month has a new banner leading up into the legendary banner as well, and the game that is focused in the banner, the new heroes banner, is the game that the new legendary hero is from. For example, the Elysian Travelers, we've had Lucina. I remember the Wings of Wings of Fate banner came out, and then Ryoma came out, and Scattered Fangs, Hector. So I don't know if that's on just a coincidence, or there might be some exceptions to this rule as well. But I think it'll be interesting to think about if we do see FE6 come out as the banner. Then hopefully Roy would be like a prediction for the legendary hero as well. But all depends on the banner, and of course IS can do whatever they want. So I just want to throw that out there. And
yeah, very interesting. We'll have to see. I've noticed that pattern too, and I've also noticed people getting very upset sometimes when you mention that pattern because it isn't a perfect predictor of all of the legendary units, and people don't like when patterns are only right some of the time and not other parts of the time. So I think that is a possibility, right. And we can speculate maybe a little bit more about that in a future episode where maybe we'll talk about some legendary hero predictions for the end of the month.
Yeah. So yeah, let's move on to the next banner, which is coming out on the 26th. And it's another skills banner. It's heroes with healing skills. So healing skills is very broad. I think that they could include a lot of different types of units here. We've made a list of all the units that it could possibly be, potentially, based on the skill that they come with. And for example, like units that have renewal, like La Rochelle, the newest Olwyn as well, the Green Tome Olwyn, Libra, Bowie Faye, Lissa, and Jacob, all come with renewal. You can also count Aether as well, and include all the Falchion users there, like or Ike, Lucina, Exalted Crom, Ike Crom, Brave Lucina, and Brave Ike. You can also throw out Noontime and Soul. You've got Ogma, Laszlo, Shigure, Libra, Raven, and Faye, the archer, as well as just healers in general. There are a lot of good healers that have come out recently in the form of Maribel, and we've had some banners featuring Elise, and Jenny's been on a bunch of banners. We haven't seen Riss yet, and I think that it is time for Riss to come out on his own banner. But
imagine all the memes. There's going to be so many memes when he comes out.
Right? Can you imagine him as a legendary hero? I think that'd be amazing.
Gosh, no, I can't. I don't think we will see that.
Right. Anywho,
only in memes.
Right. One can dream. But just looking at these units, at this list of units here, and just thinking about what IS could do potentially to bait out some orbs, I could easily see the new Olwyn coming out as a part of that banner, in addition to Lucina. It's been a while since we've had just the original Lucina, so I think that'd be an interesting addition to that list. And maybe to, kind of round it out, maybe Shigure.
Wow.
I know
those are the same predictions that I had for this.
Oh, there you go. So, and of course, I would lean more towards those skills, since it is a skill banner rather than just healers in general. Of course, IS could do anything that they want to as far as who they throw out on the banner. But yeah, I think those would be interesting. It'd be interesting to see Faye the Archer as well, as a fourth substitute option, since we haven't seen her featured recently. But I guess we're thinking along the same lines. Do you have anything else to add there?
Yeah, so there's so many different things that can count as healing skills, as you mentioned. There's different skills. There's so many different colored units. There's, a few 5-star exclusive units, especially with Aether, and not as much on some of the other skills. But I do agree with all of your predictions there. I think Olwyn, the Green Tome Olwyn, is a really good unit. Or she's probably the strongest green cavalry mage. There's not a ton of options there in that class, but she is a strong unit. Any of the other renewal users wouldn't be all that exciting if they were the focus unit, I think, because I think all the rest of them are available at 3 and 4 stars, or at least at 4 stars. Any of the Aether users could be kind of exciting, because I think except for Crom, all of the other ones are 5-star exclusive, so any of them could be pretty good units. And a lot of the Noontime and Soul users aren't that exciting, except for Faye, I would say. She's a good unit, at least for foddering Fire Sweep off to other units. And you're right, we haven't seen her for quite a while. And I think I think they called it healing skills, and it's not just like because they were trying to be vague, but I think that they were calling it that because they were taking different heroes who have different types of healing skills and trying to make that a banner. So I think that's why we got such a vague title. It could also just be that sometimes they don't do really well with translation stuff, but I actually, somebody on Reddit helped and said that in Japanese, it's pretty much the same title. So no extra hints there about, it's not like Heroes with Aether or something like that in Japanese. So anyway, just wanted to add that to your analysis there. And who knows, maybe we'll just get a bunch of healers on this banner, and it won't be healing skills, but it's like healing weapons or like staves. So we'll see.
Exactly.
This is the banner that I used to predict, aside from like new hero banners. This is the one that I think is hardest to predict in all of these banners.
Yeah. But yeah, we'll see what happens, and hopefully we are both right. So in addition to that banner, 2 days after that banner is released, we get the Legendary Hero banner. Since that one's a little bit of a bigger topic, I think we'll talk about that as soon as we get closer to it, and so we'll leave that speculation for a future episode. And then later on, we do get the voting gauntlet. I think we mentioned that before, and we'll talk about the events as a recap later on as well. But I know that you have some speculation as far as what to expect for a banner or banners for this episode, Greps. So I'll turn it over to you to talk about the voting gauntlet.
Yeah, so I know people talk about patterns in Fire Emblem quite a bit. Where creatures of habit and intelligent systems sometimes indulges in our pattern searching behavior. And seeing this voting gauntlet on this roadmap in particular stood out to me because it's just a few days before a new hero banner, as opposed to just being a few days after one. A lot of the times we get a voting gauntlet just after a new or seasonal hero banner, and the voting gauntlet has something to do with the newest heroes in the game. But I think that this voting gauntlet is going to be different. And I think that this September 1st voting gauntlet is going to be the top 4 men in Choose Your Legends 2 and the top 4 women in Choose Your Legends 2. So the top 4 men, obviously we have Ephraim and Hector. But to add to that list, in 3rd and 4th place, we had Marth and Alm, who would also join them potentially in this voting gauntlet. Then on the women's side of things, we have Celica, Erica, and Camilla would be sure things if this is the route that they go. As for the 4th hero, that would be Veronica, and I guess she's really like second in the voting, but the final hero to join these other 3 women on this banner would be Veronica if they went just by the books. But we don't have her in the game yet, and it's not really confirmed if we're going to get a copy of her before this voting gauntlet begins. So it's possible that we would get her in the game before this happens. It's also possible that maybe they would just go with the 5th place person or the 4th place person that's in the game, and that would be Azura, the blue version of Azura that's in the game. So I think that these would be some interesting banners with some really strong heroes in the game. And this prediction isn't just out of left field, but this is what they did last year, just a few days before Choose Your Legends came out. They did this same style of voting gauntlet. And it wasn't with the Choose Your Legends heroes themselves. It was with their original versions of those heroes, as well as the 3rd and 4th place, like runners up in the Choose Your Legends. So this is why I didn't say Alm is going to be on the Draconic Aura banner tomorrow, because I think Alm would show up in this banner. Unfortunately, if this is what they do, he's going to show up with Marth as a pity breaker again, and I think a lot of people would be kind of disappointed about that. But Ephraim getting his own focus color would be really nice. Hector getting his own focus color would be really nice. And then on the women's side of things, Celica and Erica could share a color focus, which could be disappointing to people who want to get copies of Celica without getting pity broken. And Camilla, just like last year, could end up as her own focus color, assuming Veronica doesn't enter the game. Probably wouldn't be that popular of a hero to pull for, since she's available at 3 and 4 stars. And Azura, probably also not that popular of a hero if she's the 4th, but Veronica, if she shows up with Camilla's sharing a focus, that could be pretty controversial if that's her first time on a banner. So that is the thing that I think is going to happen for the voting gauntlet. Other possibilities might be something involving the new hero banner that's coming out August 21st. Maybe it'll be some remnants from that. It could be something totally unrelated to either of these things. And some people might speculate, oh, maybe it's like Choose Your Legends 1 against Choose Your Legends 2. That would only be possible if Choose Your Legends 2 is the heroes coming out on August 21st, since if Choose Your Legends isn't then we won't have those heroes in the game yet at the time of this voting gauntlet. So anything else to add to that, or anything that you'd like to see as a voting gauntlet, or predictions for the voting gauntlet, Phil?
Sure. I don't have too much to add. I think you've got some really good ideas there. The only thing I could think of, too, that might coincide with the voting gauntlet is the Festivals of Hoshido banner, and potentially we could see the Performing Arts banner kind of going head-to-head against the banner that we just received. I mean, it is at the tail end of the Hoshidan Festival banner, so it might not be as likely. And I know that you might think that there might be a Performing Arts rerun later on, but yeah, that's the only other thought that I might have as far as speculation is concerned. But can't wait to see, and yeah, we'll find out what we get for Voting Gauntlet. So.
Oh, well, that was my nightmare scenario, Phil. I told you yesterday when we were recording, or a couple days ago when we were recording about the Hoshidan dancers, that was my nightmare scenario, and all dancer voting gauntlet. I hope that's not the case, but it is certainly a possibility.
just bringing that nightmare back, that's what I do best. But in addition to that, too, I think that you have in the notes here as well, talking about Choose Your Legends, let's talk about that for a little bit. And so many people have said and speculated that the new Heroes Summoning event on the 7th of September could be Choose Your Legends. Do you think that's the case?
Yeah, I do think it's the case. It's the Choose Your Legends 1 was September 1st, I think, or like August 31st last year. The timing is right for it. It gives them enough. It probably gave them enough time to create these heroes. Everything makes sense about it. There's nothing that says that we have to have it then, but I think that is what we're going to get on September the 7th. What do you think?
I think so too. I think it's about time, and it makes sense just based on how they were released last year, just like you said. So I don't see anything wrong with having them coming out on the 7th. And so in addition to that, there could also be a Choose Your Legends 1 rerun banner. Maybe about a couple days, maybe 4 days or so before the new banner comes out. It could be in relation as well to what you were saying about the voting gauntlet. And so, well, actually, never mind, because they would have to. You never know. Yeah,
it could. You never know. Maybe it'll be like Choose Your Legends heroes against their original copies of the heroes in the game, and that's a possibility too.
Yeah, that's a good thought. So,
but I think that. I think that Intelligent Systems is going to want to put the Choose Your Legends heroes out there one more time on a banner, like they've rerun most banners in the game. This is really the last time that I think the Choose Your Legends 1 heroes are going to be in any sort of demand, is before Choose Your Legends 2 heroes come out and probably shock us and seem more desirable. So I'm not saying they're not going to be relevant anymore. I'm just saying that they lose a little bit of luster after the second set of Choose Your Legends heroes come out, as is my guess.
Yeah. So I totally agree, and there probably be one last great hurrah for these heroes before they just end up in the summoning pool and hopefully, just kind of randomly get pity broken with them. But yeah, so I totally agree with you, and I think that's when we will see Choose Your Legends 2 come out, and that'll be great. And as that gets closer, hopefully there's a FEH channel for it as well. We could talk about it, talk about the units, and just get hyped for that. And then a couple days after that, or before that, one day before that, actually, on the 6th, backtracking to Heroes with Fury Part 2. We were reminded recently with the daily banners that we already had a Fury banner come out in the form of Hinata, Jagan, and Bartray. And so, looking at some of the other units that do come with Fury natively, we do have Myrrh, we have Exalted Crom, and Eldigan as well. And so if they're just going with some different units, and of course these units are a little bit more desirable than the original Fury banner units, I would think that they would, all three of these units, Eldigan, Exalted Crom and Myr would be featured on this banner. Do you think that's would be the case?
Yep, I totally agree with you there. It's going to be a little bit unfortunate for people who want either Eldigan or Exalted Crom because you might get pity broken there. But Hinata, Jagan, and Bartrite are really not heroes that I think people are all that interested in pulling at 5 stars. It would be a shame to sacrifice Fury itself on one of those heroes at 5 stars when you could just get a Hinata at 4 stars or 3 stars and promote him up to 4 stars. So yeah, I think no arguments from me there on that banner, and I think Myr would be a very strong hero to pull for on that hypothetical banner. In only a 3-unit banner, she's going to have a pretty good chance. Green is usually the most friendly color to pull on anyway, and Myr's a very good hero, so if you haven't gotten her yet, it might be worth pulling for her, but we expect Choose Your Legends will have already been announced by then, so you'll probably know what's coming the next day, whether it's Choose Your Legends or something else by the time that banner drops.
Exactly. So that is something to look forward to at the very least for a free summon. But if some of these other units that we really like are included, then that'll be fun as well.
Yeah, and then there's one more banner, and you've alluded to it, that I think is a possibility, and it wasn't on the schedule, but it is a Performing Arts banner rerun that I think that it's really likely that we'll see the 4 Performing Arts units come out again, and it's just unclear if that's going to happen in August, in September, or maybe even in October, so we'll have to see when that happens. But I think it will happen at some point. And, Intelligent Systems doesn't release every single banner on these calendars, on these roadmaps. So just because some of these things weren't on there doesn't mean that they can't be something that happens. Like Voting Gauntlet banners are pretty much never on the roadmaps. I wouldn't expect the Performing Arts rerun or a Choose Your Legends 1 rerun. Reruns don't seem to be on the calendar either. So just wanted to throw that out there just in case people are looking at their roadmaps and wondering why that's not on there. So just something to point out there. Any other thoughts about upcoming banners, or would you like to move on to talking about some of the events that are coming up on the roadmap?
Yeah, I don't think I have anything else to add, so let's move on and just quickly recap the events and quests that are upcoming. I'll go ahead and start with the events, and we've pretty much talked about all of these, but just so we get some dates out there for you guys. Micaiah and Southbound Hero Battle is coming out on the 20th of August, then Forging Bonds on the 24th of August. So it's a few days after the banner comes out, and so we'll know if those newer units are going to be on the Forging Bonds again. It's probably going to be the case. Who knows? We might get another Forging Bonds event when the new heroes from September 7th come out as well. Potentially the Choose Your Legends units. So
yeah, and some people have said well, maybe we're not getting Forging Bonds for that because it's not on the calendar. But the calendar seems to end on September the 10th or September. Yeah, it ends on. Well, it might end even a couple of days later. I'm not exactly sure where it ends. Maybe the 7th. But the point is that I think if we do get a Forging Bonds, it's probably happening after a few days after the calendar ends, and that's why it doesn't show up there. So I wouldn't use the lack of a Forging Bonds to prove or disprove the fact that the September 7th heroes might be Choose Your Legends.
Right. So, yeah. So who knows? And we might get another Forging Bonds event. It seems like they do it every 2 weeks, every half month, whenever new units are released, and so I wouldn't be surprised if that was around as well. Just to round things off as well, we do get the Blessed Gardens Grounds, or aka Assault, Garden Assault version. That begins on the 26th of August, and so look forward to that. We do get a Legendary Hero banner. In addition to the Legendary Hero banner, we get the battle, of course, and that's on the 28th. We do get another Grand Conquest on the 29th. A Grand Hero Battle, a couple days after the new hero banner comes out, pretty much at the tail end there. But yeah, so we do see that coming out soon, and so we'll see who that might be. Maybe we'll get a glimpse of what they are in the new heroes, or it could be someone completely different. And then, like we've mentioned, the Voting Gauntlet comes out on the 5th of September. So those are the events. Do you have anything else to add to those events before you get into quests, Greps?
Well, they don't put on some things that like occur on a recurring basis in the game. So they don't put on things like new Blessed Gardens maps or rival domains maps and the tactics drills also. So those are set days of the week now. So just wanted to point out that there's a lot of things going on in the game. Actually, they've kept the schedule quite busy with different events. So that's good, I think. And the last thing we'll touch on is just some of the quests. I won't go into too much detail on this because I think, you regulars out there probably already can tell me what most of the quests are for a lot of the game modes. But, we have the Tempest trial quest going on right now, the usual quests for that. We have weapon workout quests coming up in just a couple of days on August the 17th. And based on the last run of that, I would expect some orbs, stamina potions, and arena medals, maybe a couple of other like shards or things like that. But I don't think we got any coins or stones the last time around for those, which I was disappointed about. We have, let's see, so on August the 29th, we have Grand Conquests, and so we'll get a couple orbs, and I think it's feathers and crystals that we get for playing additional times in Grand Conquests. We have a new set of quests. I don't think we've had this. Well, maybe we've had this once before. I don't quite remember. It's been a while if we've had it before, but they call it Order of Heroes quests on August the 31st. So I imagine that's going to be giving out some rewards for getting KOs with Alphonse, Sharina, Anna, and possibly Fjorm as well if they add her into that. And then the last set of that I think is predictable based on the schedule is some voting gauntlet quests. And those are some of my favorite quests, and those will begin on September the 5th. I like that we get quite a few and sacred coins from that. So I think the rewards from voting gauntlet are really nice. So those are all of the things that I think are going on in the upcoming schedule. Of course, that's excluding things like the login bonuses and all those things, but there's nothing suspicious this month to talk about with login bonuses. So there's nothing too much to go into there, but I think that pretty much wraps up everything that I think is worthwhile going into on the calendar, and I'm excited for a lot of content to be coming back around to us. I would look forward to if we had more quests in the game. I know there's a lot of like dots when you go to quests, but I think it would be kind of fun if we had a little bit more of that other than just the usual things in the game. But everything, looking forward to the next month of Fire Emblem Heroes.
Me too. And yeah, so I think that we've comprehensively talked about this map a lot, and we've gone over each banner. I had a note here to kind of talk about some summoning strategies, but I think we've kind of covered that as we went through each banner. And of course, it's all speculation for the most part, and so we'll probably get into a little bit more of a strategy when we get to those banners and when they do come out and confirm some of the units that we've talked about. But yeah, I think we've pretty much covered everything on the roadmap, and I think this has been a really good and fun episode. So before we sign out, Greps, do you have anything else to add before we take off?
I don't think so. I think we've said it all today.
Awesome. So thank you guys for listening out there, and if you would like to reach us, feel free to do so by posting at our subreddit, which is r/FEHology. If you want to email us individually, you can email us at FEHology@gmail.com for me, or for Grepstein, it is at grepsteinfeh@gmail.com. And if you do grow tired of getting all of your allies supported and even your summoner support, you can take it to the next level and do listener support, which is offered through Anchor. If you want to contribute and support this podcast, feel free to click in the link in the show notes, and you'll be directed to Anchor, and you'll be able to support us on a monthly basis. And so it's a lot like Patreon, and so if that's your cup of tea, then feel free to do so. On that note, thank you for listening once again, and we hope that you schedule an appointment with your FEHologist soon. Take care.